Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. I'm back with my plans and pans. So I'm talking to you on Friday, and this morning, after voting for the Build Back Better bill, I was able to get on the plane and come home, and I am definitely in a celebratory mood. It's been a hard fought battle to get this done, but we did, and it's going to mean, you've heard the word transformational many times referred to this legislation, but it really, really is. Let me just give you one example. In the state of Illinois alone, 740,000 families with kids from 0 to 5 will not have to pay more than 7% of their income for childcare. And what that means also is that lots of women in particular are going to be able to go back to work because so many women were really driven out of the workforce because of the lack of childcare. And in addition, their kids are going to have access, the 3 and 4-year-olds, to universal preschool, which is such an incredible investment in our country and our future. We also are going to see the largest investment ever in housing, not only the creation of new housing, but rehab, the largest investment ever in the history of our country. And that also goes for the investment that we're going to be making in addressing climate. We have $150 billion nationally going to home care for our elders. Something else that will be so important because people, again, caregivers, family caregivers have had to stay home, and some of that money is going to go to help boost the wages of home care workers who right now around the country make about $12 an hour. Clearly not a livable wage. We're going to see some help with health, a lot of help with healthcare costs, a really dramatic increase in the availability of affordable healthcare. And that will include, again, the first effort to lower the cost of prescription drugs. It sets a framework that doesn't get started for a couple of years to negotiate with Big Pharma for lower drug prices. But beyond that, there will be a limit on how much they could charge. If they go over the cost of inflation, they will have to return the money. There will be a cap. And for seniors, there will also be an annual cap on how much our older Americans are going to have to pay, people on Medicare, et cetera, have to pay for health care, for prescription drugs. We're also going to see some help, again, for seniors with dentures. We had wanted, for ears, we had also wanted dental, and we had wanted eye care. We're going to still have to continue to fight to get those done because they're absolutely essential benefits that people need. So I think those were the main things I wanted to tell you about. But I also just want you to know that this bill will not contribute at all to inflation. Why? Number one, because many of the costs that people have, childcare and healthcare, are going to go down, and so not up. Number two, this bill costs nothing net. In other words, it's all paid for. And it's paid for by asking the wealthiest Americans who really have not paid their fair share. Some corporations and individuals who are the richest have paid nothing and will raise their taxes. And I think that's only fair. The other thing that we know is that no one who makes $400,000 or less is going to pay a penny more in taxes. So I think for our economy and certainly for everyday Americans, this is really going to be a big change. So we're spreading the good news, and certainly we're going to do our best to make sure that everybody knows what is coming and what is available. And of course, we also passed the infrastructure bill, which is pretty much shovel ready in a lot of respects. That means that we're going to see fairly soon the increase in building in our communities of roads and bridges and mass transit. And as I've told you before, one of the things it'll also do is address the lead that's in pipes. And between the two bills, infrastructure and Build Back Better, there'll be enough money that, and what the state is going to do to clean up all of the lead pipes in Illinois, which I think I also told you, Illinois is number one in the number of pipes that have lead in them in the country. I also wanted to tell you a couple things that happened in committee, some other good work. I was able to get passed out of the Energy and Commerce Committee. You know, I chair the Consumer Protection Committee, a bill called the Inform Consumer Act. Here's what it does. You know, more and more people are shopping online. And, you know, you go to Amazon and then you go to the marketplace that Amazon hosts. And what you get isn't always what you paid for. In fact, there was a study last year that found that about 53% of people who bought some goods online thought that it was some sort of a counterfeit good, that it wasn't what they had expected. And again, these platforms like Amazon say, well, that's not our problem. These are independent companies and yada, yada, it's not our responsibility. And, you know, if you go to Macy's because you've gotten something that's been defective, they don't say, well, it's not our fault, it's the manufacturer. They will make good on it, or at least we certainly expect it, and it happens in retail stores. So even these legitimate businesses are really hurt by these counterfeits. But beyond that, it can be really dangerous because you can have lead in toys that has been banned in the United States because some of these foreign counterfeits. You could, you know, see that security is endangered. This is a real problem. And so we have to make these online platforms that host these online shopping areas to be companies to make sure. And so what the bill does, it requires on Amazon to verify that company that is making sales on their platform, that this is something legitimate. So it's the Online Consumer Act, bipartisan, House and Senate. Senator Durbin has the bill in the Senate. It hasn't passed yet the full House, but I am very optimistic, especially when we have great support across the aisle. Not always something that happens, as you know. Another really important bill that we passed is a bill dealing with ALS. You know, it's a horrible disease. Someone has described it as, you know, when you have it, you die a little bit every day. A dear friend of mine from grammar school on decided last year that he was going to pick the date that he was going to die so he didn't have to suffer till death, and did just that, went to Canada and did that. But we had the most dramatic testimony in the House of Representatives, in the Energy and Commerce Committee, in the Healthcare Subcommittee. And my constituent, Brian Wallach, suffering from ALS, and his wife, Sandra, who really in some ways translated for him. It's hard to understand his voice right now. And we passed the legislation that now will fund the kind of research, development, and even access to some of these experimental drugs. let them try. If there is a possible cure or benefit from taking these drugs, we want to make sure that we make those drugs as available as possible. And Brian's part of a group called IMALS that has organized the whole community of people that have it and families. This bill had over 330 co-sponsors in the House of Representatives. I can't think of another bill that had that many. But finally, we got it called, we got what we call a markup, we got it passed, and now it's going to go to the House floor. And with that kind of support, I'm sure it will pass the House and go to the Senate. Act for ALS is the name of the legislation. Well, today, and you've probably thought about it since Friday, since today, the decision on the Rittenhouse, the Rittenhouse verdict, and this young man who went to Wisconsin with a high-powered weapon and shot 3 people that the judge said you can't even call them victims because they were protesters. He called them worse than that. So of the 3 people who were shot, 2 are dead. And the verdict of the jury, 12 individuals, only 1 person of color. The verdict was to acquit. It was to acquit. I think justice was not done. And Jerry Nadler, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, says that he wants to have just an investigation, a review of he's called for a federal review. He's called for a federal review of the case. This is also Transgender Week. You know, that's very personal to me. I'm very proud of Isaac, my transgender grandson, who's actually living a very happy and secure life. But on Saturday also is Transgender Remembrance Day, because transgender people are targeted by violence. And Ayanna Presley, my colleague from Massachusetts, who also grew up in part in my house because she is a Chicago girl, Chicago woman, who was best friends with my stepdaughter and spent a lot of time here. But anyway, Ayanna, so proud of her. She read the names of 47 victims of murder, transgender individuals, in this last year, and had to update her list because last week another transgender person was murdered. You know, this kind of discrimination, there's a lot of it, and particularly the violence, has to be called out, has to be stopped, has to be recognized, and that's why that day of remembrance. And finally, the coronavirus. You know, we're seeing an uptick here in Illinois. We saw this week 28,280 cases, which is a 25% increase from last week. We also know now that the FDA has approved the booster shots for all adults 18 and older. Don't hesitate. They are available at pharmacies. Please get that booster, and we want to be as safe as possible. And we don't want to end up in a situation where people, once again, are not wanting to go to work, where businesses are affected. So, you know, for 18 and older, you can get the vaccines, and now we've got our kids from 5 to 11 who can get their own vaccine, which is a lower dose, and then 11 to 18 also can get vaccinated, but the booster is for adults 18 and older. So let's stay safe. I want to wish you a wonderful, happy, healthy, cozy with your family, I hope, Thanksgiving. And I know I am thankful so much and grateful to represent the 9th Congressional District. So thank you very, very much, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.